Hey guys! So today is all about making goat milk soap. So this is one of those skills that I didn't exactly plan on learning. It just kind of came into my life as we've progressively added to our homestead. One of the animals that we decided to add was goats. And it seemed like a good move. I read all the books as far as having this complete homestead, what it looks like if you're self-sustainable, self-sufficient, and it seemed like a milk source was relatively important on that list there. And so we decided to go with goats. I'm not prepared either infrastructure-wise, land-wise, or mentally-wise prepared to take on a cow. So goats were a good fit for us. It didn't take too long for us to discover that we were swimming in milk, and this is one solution that I came up with to use that milk to good use. So welcome. If you guys are just joining me, I am Catherine. This is Little Bits of Heaven Homestead. As I decided to call ourselves Little Bits of Heaven because it doesn't matter what we're doing. If it's goats, if it's chickens, if it's ducks, if it's rabbits, everything that we're doing on the homestead is my idea of a little bit of heaven. So today I'm talking to you about making soap. And I hope you stick with me through the end because I do have some questions. I want this channel to be interactive. That's part of the reason I'm going live, and well, partly because editing kind of stinks and I'm not technologically savvy, so live is a good fit, and it also fits my lifestyle. I tend to be raw and unfiltered and unedited in my own life, so this is kind of appropriate. So today I'm making goat milk soap. I do want you guys to get something of value out of this. And so stick with me to the end of the video and I'm going to give you guys the option to determine what we do on next week's show. So somebody asked on my last video how often I'll be coming on, and to be honest, I'm not real sure. I can definitely commit to at least one day a week, and I'm hoping that I can get to you guys twice a week. And my rationale is that I'm not going to do anything to really create content. I'm just going to bring you along for the ride. So whatever I'm up to, I want you guys to join me, and I hope that you learn something from it, get something of value, and at the very least get some entertainment. Going live, there is a strong likelihood that I will most likely say something stupid, so take that for what it's worth. So today I am doing goat milk soap. I want to give you some quick basics. For those of you who have seen the videos that I do on Dirt Patch Heaven on Facebook, I've done soaping a couple times. But since I'm not going to assume that all of you have watched all of those videos, I'm going to jump right in and give you some basics. So you want to use non-reactive materials, stainless steel, glass, as you can use. So I've got the silicone or rubber spatula, I'm not sure what it's made of, I'm assuming silicone. But you want to use things that are non-reactive. Don't use aluminum. The lye solution in particular can react with it. So I am a goat milk soaper, and so I soap at really low temperatures. I prefer to do room temperature. And in fact, let's check. I melted these oils not long ago, so they might be a little warmer, but I do have them sitting. Nope, they're perfect. So this is 62 degrees right now. I prefer to soap somewhere between 65 to 70 degrees on average. So I had that sitting in ice water just in case. What I do is I freeze. Ooh, I need to grab my goat milk. Hold on. I wanted to leave it in until last minute. So I don't know if you can see that, but I freeze my goat milk in advance. And that way it will avoid scorching. So I'm going to talk to you about some real basic safety equipment. Gloves, and hiding around here somewhere is my safety glasses. I gotta find them because that's important. Aha, I'm just disorganized. So here they are. So anytime you're working with lye, you do need to be aware that it is caustic. It can eat your skin, so do respect it. Don't be fearful of it, do respect it. I keep children and animals away when working with lye. And if you do happen to get it on your skin, it's not like it's going to eat your skin to the bone. You just have to rinse it off. I believe that I've read rinsing it for 5 to 10 minutes should be sufficient. as I occasionally splash myself. And oh, welcome, hello, the awesome Homestead. I'm glad you joined me today, yay. So, and this will be on for replay, so you're welcome to catch up. So, so do wear some basic safety equipment. One of the most important tools is a scale. Soaping, I'm making goat milk soap today. So one of your most important pieces of equipment is a scale. Soaping is a science. And so you do want to make sure that you have proper ratios as far as your fats and oils to your lye solution. I highly recommend, no matter what recipe you use, that you get familiar with soapcalc.net or any sort of soaping calculator, and that way you can understand not only the ratios that you need, but also it's going to tell you things like hardness, cleansingness, bubbliness. So get familiar with that. This is a little chunky. This is my goat milk. But I'm making a 4-pound loaf today. And I regularly make both 4-pound and 5-pound. And even though I'm using the same recipe, I always run it through SoapCalc just to make sure that I'm good. So let's see here. Before you start, make sure you have whatever mold you're going to put your soap into. And I do goat milk, and I use predominantly olive oil, which tends to be a relatively soft soap when you start. And it's known as a soft, hard soap. So it's going to start really soft and then end up really hard. So I'm able to use plastic wrap to line my liner. So let's see. Do you buy or make your lye? I buy it. So, and I'm sorry if I didn't catch the second half of that question. The comments pop up and then they go away. And I'm not exactly sure. I'm still new to this, so I'm not sure where to access them. So I'll come back. I don't even know if I can access the comments afterwards to come back and answer that. So if I don't answer all your questions, please ask again so I see it pop up. So I'll set that right there for now. So I've got my goat milk, and I'm going to set it in a bowl, and I'm going to add some ice to this bowl to keep it as cold as possible. So I've got my ice there. Oh, it kind of froze to the side of the jar on me. So this is one of the disadvantages of live, is it could potentially be very craptastic. So, but bear with me. So here's my lye. I went ahead and pre-measured it. That way I don't have to worry about being on video and messing it up, because this is something that I do want to make sure is absolutely accurate. Unlike dumping into water, because I'm going into a frozen solution, I just go ahead and dump all my lye at once. And lye will heat up whatever liquid solution that you're adding it to. It's very important to always add lye to your liquid, never the opposite. If you go liquid into lye, it could be a potential disaster. It could bubble up, it could explode on you. Bad scenario. So always, always go your lye into liquid. And it's going to be the same once this is all, the lye is going to melt my goat milk. And what I'm doing is I'm waiting for it to become like a slushy, mostly liquid solution. I want all of the cubes to be melted. And then I will pour this directly into my oils. You guys are going to have to bear with me as I do this, because when I get to blending, it'll be about 4 minutes of the blender. I wish that I could somehow fast forward through that part or do some sort of speed something, but again, disadvantage of being live. So this takes just a few minutes to melt. So while I'm doing this, I wanted to show you guys some of my recent creations, because you can do all sorts of beautiful things with soap. You don't have to get locked. Oop, I'm stuck. Okay, my glove ate my hand. So this has been one of my favorites, and it's sweet orange and chili scented. It does have a fragrance oil. I particularly love how this, and I didn't design the pattern, it just came out that way, but it totally looks like a heart with a jalapeno. Oh, thank you. So, and then this is a coffee and cream, and it looks like goat to me. I put some coffee grounds right there on the top. Love it. So you can totally play with these, make them fun for you. This is just a plain soap. And I love when my goat milk soap turns out that creamy white. So that's something you have to watch with goat milk. I'm not sure if it's the fats or the sugars, but the lye wants to scorch it. And that is that's the only reason I soap at such a low temperature, is to prevent it from scorching. So this is my most popular bar. It's a activated charcoal, and I use tea tree oil in it, and it's supposed to be really good for pores, acne. I made it for my teens. They love it. So, and it's been my most requested, most popular soap. So I'm a little stressed for time. I see I'm already 11 minutes in. Apparently time flies when you're YouTubing. And when I first started doing this, and I know that I mentioned it in comments last time, I'm new to YouTube. Thanks for joining me. So, how much do you sell your soap for? It's generally about $1.50 an ounce is what I'm looking at. As I'm been told that I underprice. So, where can we buy your soap? I am on Etsy at Dirt Patch Heaven. So, I don't have a whole lot of soaps available there. I do need to update the store and make sure that everything that I have on hand is available. I have, currently I know I have lavender, this chili lime, the coffee and cream. I'll have to look. I'll make sure that the store is updated here soon. So so going back, I'm relatively new to YouTube. I have been doing live videos on Dirt Patch Heaven on Facebook. As I never planned or intended on being a YouTuber and or video person. As I'm a writer, I'm also very sarcastic. And I got a weekly column in my local newspaper writing about homesteading, mostly on a joke. I was out with the newspaper owner, and a friend of mine started asking about writing for the paper, and he kind of blew us off. I made a joke about writing about homesteading, and next thing I knew, I was offered a weekly column. So, and I found that I actually love writing. It's very scary to open up your life. It's very raw. You open yourself up to criticism and judgment. And so YouTubing, I was a little trepidatious about this, in all honesty. I wasn't sure that I wanted to go this route. But what I found is that there is so many of us on this journey of homesteading, and we don't really know what we're doing. And because we had grandparents or great-grandparents that grew up on ranches and farms, and then they moved away from that lifestyle, a lot of it has been lost. So yeah, we feel that all, but it's been mostly positive. It has been mostly positive. And it's been really exciting to see that. It's because I'm always fearful, just assuming that people are going to say mean things. But I've found that the positives far outweigh the negatives. And I want to share, as I am not an expert by far. Julie told me when I got started that I needed to figure out what my expertise was. And best I could come up with is I am an expert at not being an expert. I'm learning on the fly. I would like to say I'm self-taught, but I'm not. It's groups like this, it's interactions like this, it's asking questions, it's putting myself out there and being raw, saying I don't know what I'm doing and I could really use some shepherding. And people, for the vast majority of the time, have just been incredibly supportive. So I'm 5 years into our homestead. I have learned a ton. I cannot discount that. As I've come into this partly on a journey of being fearful, as I was realizing that I knew almost nothing. As I could go to the store and grocery shop and come home and cook it, but aside from that, I didn't know, I mean, you know where food comes from, but I didn't have the skills or abilities to do it myself. and that was terrifying. So, oh, thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. So, and I'm constantly looking for advice. Richard said if we're ever looking for advice, that he grew up on a homestead. And thank you. And I'm also here for sharing what knowledge I have gained and gleaned through the last 5 years. So, soaping is one of those skills that I've learned. And I'm not an expert. So if you're coming to me to teach you how to soap, I will gladly share with you what I've learned. Here is a resource that I find extremely helpful. So is that backwards? I think that's backwards. So Tara from Living on a Dime, she has this great comprehensive book and e-course on how to make soap for beginners. And I had already been soaping for almost a year when I got my hands on that, and I have found that incredibly helpful. I'll try to remember to put that in the description or links or whatever it is I'm supposed to do as a YouTuber, so that you guys have that resource to draw on as well. So you can see this is starting to melt. It's not quite there yet. But I'm fearful when I'm in the position of teaching or being that expert that I'm going to leave out something crucial and you'll do something like melt your face off with lye or something. So do research. Don't just take my word for it and copy me, because chances are good if you're copying me that mistakes will be made. So do lots of research. And I say that for anything and everyone, is take no one single source as gospel. So do lots of asking questions, do lots of research. And you can't really go wrong if you get a broad range of opinions and information, and then pick and choose what works for you. Incorporate what works for your lifestyle, and don't let somebody tell you that it has to be one certain way, because I found on my entire homesteading journey that no one way is the right way. So we're getting there on the lye. So something that I was concerned about on coming on and YouTubing is I'm not sure that I have enough interesting information or valuable information to pass on. And so I really want you guys to be a part of this. I want you to tell me what it is that you would like to see, what you would like to learn, and if it's within my skill set, I will gladly and happily share. So, Awesome Homestead, will you be at the Baker's Creek next spring? DPH was there this year. Yes. Well, actually, I say yes being that I was there. So I was there in the spring in Missouri. Julie and I did spinning. And then we both went to the Baker Creek Heirloom Expo in California. Oh, when was that? Just a couple months ago. So we're debating, considering going this coming year. I've heard Julie say many times that traveling is really hard. I have not been much of a traveler. In fact, I'm really not super excited about leaving the homestead much at all. If I could cocoon, I totally would. But then I've also found that getting out and interacting with other homesteaders has been so encouraging. So we're still discussing / debating on whether we're going to go to the next Baker Creek. I'm really hoping that we do. In fact, I talked to Lisa C. at the Baker Creek. She's one of the organizers of all of these expos and events, and I asked her about speaking and being on the speaker circuit, and she told me to just email her in January and she would get us on the speaking circuit. So there is a strong possibility that we will be there. Are you going to be there, Richard? So if so, I'd like to meet you. Oh, okay, we're getting close. So can you see that? So there's still some cubes in there, but we're getting close. And I wait until all the cubes are melted and it's just more of a liquidy solution. So I want to thank you guys. I was really honored and touched. I literally just kicked off this channel and I am floored at how many likes and positive comments and subscribers to the channel that I got just after my first video. I totally didn't expect that. I kind of expected to be putting this content out and nobody really being interested, so thank you. I say that from the bottom of my heart. So we go nearly every month while they are open all spring, summer, and fall. Oh, how cool. I was blown away at Baker Creek at how beautiful their grounds are. I love them as a company, as they really have, what am I looking to say here? I love their mission. They've got just a beautiful mission. So they're not my go-to seed source. I have a go-to seed source, Mary's Heirloom Seeds, but anytime that I have something that I want that Mary doesn't carry, Baker Creek is the next one I go to. And in fact, when I was there at the Baker Creek Spring Planting Festival, I had a friend message me and ask me to look for and pick up a specific popcorn variety called Burrow Mountain, or what was it? Yeah, Burrow Mountain Popcorn, I believe it was. Burrow Mountain, either way. But I live at the base of the Burrow Mountains, and he told me that these seeds, so can you link the website? I will link the website here later on as soon as I'm done with the video. Thank you for asking. So this Burrow Mountain or Burrow Popcorn, whatever it is, actually I understand originated in these mountains that I live at the base of, that they found some sort of container that had these seeds, and they were able to, that apparently were like 100 years old or something, and they were able to germinate them, grow them, and harvest the seeds, and that created this entire line. And he said that Baker Creek is the only company that offers these seeds. So I thought that was really neat that I traveled all the way to Missouri and picked up these seeds that originated in the very mountains that I live in. Okay, so we are just about done as far as melting this goat milk. So I will have to use my blender for about 4 minutes, and I pre-apologize for the noise that it makes. I don't know how to blend silently. I have done it with just a spoon, and I suppose I could try that and see how it goes, but it's a lot easier and quicker to use the blender. So here we go. So today I'm making a rose scented soap. I tend to prefer to stay with just essential oils, but since it's Christmas season and not all of my customers are purists, as I do make a line of fragrance oil scented soaps. But for the most part, I do try and stick with just essential oils. So this is one of the most valuable tools I have in my soaping arsenal. You do, when you put it in, it's going to have some air that gets caught in here, so you want to burp it. Because if you can reduce the amount of air that you blend into your soaps, you end up with a, let's see if I can show you, a really nice, thick end product with no air bubbles. If you don't do that, you could actually end up with little air bubbles throughout your soaps. So again, always go liquid, or your lye solution into your liquid. Soaps, when you make them, and I know people have a fear of working with lye, and I get asked frequently, well, is it a lye soap? And the answer to that is yes. Every soap that you use or make is a lye soap. They do offer a product called Melt and Pour, and all that is somebody else did the lye process for you. You bring it home, melt it, and pour it. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. So you're not dealing with the actual lye yourself, but at some point someone dealt with lye. So here's my lye solution, and I pour it over the end of the blender here. And again, I tend to be pretty quick and sloppy. For those of you who don't know me, I am a working mom of 3. I have not only a full-time job, but I also have a part-time job, in addition to writing my newspaper column. So time is my most precious commodity. So if I'm gonna invest time and energy into something, it needs to be productive, it needs to be worthwhile. But for the most part, I'm looking for ways to reduce my own personal labor and time involved. So I'm not one that dinks around with taking hours to incorporate lye into my solution. I'm pretty fast and sloppy just in general. So here we go, I'm gonna blend. So if you guys have any questions, now would be a great time, because I can sit here and I can look and answer. And I think I can talk loud enough over the blender that hopefully you can hear me, but I am going to get to blending. So it takes about 4 minutes to properly blend this. You're going for a condition called trace. So before your next live stream, can you post that you're going to be live soon? So that way we can be sure to be here. Yes. So what I'll do is I'll pop on maybe about half an hour, do a quick, hey guys, here I come. If that would be helpful for you, I would be glad to do that. So when you're doing this, you're looking for a condition called trace. And it's going to be almost like a slightly thin pudding consistency. And you can actually achieve a condition called false trace by just using the blender continuously for 4 minutes. And so I like to alternate. I'll blend for a while and then stir for a while. Blend for a while, stir for a while. And you'll see that here as I get going. So here we go. Oh, and again, guys, thanks for joining me here live. And I hope that those who join later on and watch this, if you have any questions, please leave them. And I'm going to do my best to get back and answer any questions because I want to empower you to be able to do your own stuff on your own homestead. So this is goat milk soap. This is my favorite way to use goat milk. As you can only eat so much cheese, and I love cheese. So good morning, Sarah, or afternoon, I don't know why I said good morning. And in fact, I'm doing this because Sarah requested soaping. Oh, and Sarah, I would love to get together with you and work with you hands-on. Sarah has tons of great skills. Maybe we can encourage her to do her own channel someday too. Good morning, Sarah. That shows you I am so tired today. It's ridiculous. I've kind of been walking around in a fog. Oh, but that is my life. I think that's the life of moms. Well, I think probably just all of us in general. We're all burning our candles at both ends and then some. Do you do any fall, winter gardening? Yes. I am glad you asked that because in fact that was going to be one of my questions at the end as far as next week's show. So what I'm shooting for is doing a Tuesday show at the very least. Thursdays I don't do my part-time job, and so I could potentially do Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to see, because this needs to work with my life and my kids' lives and my husband's life as well. And I'm not willing to sacrifice our family for the sake of YouTubing, but I do want to be able to share with you guys. So I'm going to try and find a balance here. But so yes, I do fall and winter gardening, and I'm going to give you a choice for next week's show on what you'd like to see because I do want it to be about gardening. So how about you guys? Does anybody else do fall and winter gardening? And if so, where are you located and what are you planting currently? I'm zone 7B, and my goal this year is we just picked up a greenhouse, which I'm super excited about. Got a great deal on it. And so I haven't utilized it much to this point, but have big plans for it. Got a little air there. So zone 6, okay. So you're a little cooler than I am. Wait until you've achieved trace before you start adding in things like fragrances or essential oils. Some of them can speed trace. And so you want to wait until you've actually achieved true trace before you start adding in, like I said, fragrances or essential oils. I kind of expected comments to stay like they do on Facebook, so I'm hoping that I'm not missing any questions or comments. And I am so technologically challenged, it's not even funny. So, okay. You're actually off-grid and are growing herbs and peppers right now. Oh, how cool. So, Deborah says, what state do you garden in? I'm in New Mexico. I'm actually in southwest New Mexico. I am considered high mountain desert. So, but it's not the desert that you picture with like cactus. I'm grasslands, I've got scrub oaks, I'm in the mountains. So we're considered desert only due to precipitation. We get about, on average, 19 inches of precipitation a year. And it's just beautiful here, but water is always a concern. I have a cat at the door. My friends make fun of me. We added barn cats to our homestead here recently, and they think they're inside cats, and I'm insistent that they are not inside cats, but the cats themselves think that they're inside cats. So I've got a cat at the door, and she's jumping, and she rattles the doorknob, which is funny but not funny. So I tend to be an under center when I'm doing soaps, as I'm not real big into fragrance myself. I like clean, that's really all I care about is clean smelling. But with my customers, apparently they want to smell the scent. So I've started adding clay. I don't know how to say this. So did they up your live stream time? I don't think so. I had read something online because I was doing all sorts of research on going live, and it must have been an old article. But and I asked Julie about it. She said that YouTube used to have a 15-minute time cap, but she didn't think that they did, and thank goodness, because I'm already 32 minutes into it. So apparently this takes longer than I thought it did. So I don't know how to say this. Kaolin clay. Anyways, it's supposed to help stabilize the fragrance. And so I've been adding this to my soaps recently, and I have noticed a big difference. And I do know that there's other properties that this clay is good for as far as your skin. So I felt like it was a good addition to my soaps. So we are at trace now. It could be thicker. It's still, this would be considered a light trace, but I'm going to go ahead and add my clay into it. I use, and again, I don't think this is necessary, but I use vitamin E oil. I know a lot of the oils that I use in my soaps already have a fair amount of vitamin E, but I like the idea of it. So Sarah says, did you order get that? I don't know what that means. So if you could type that out again. So order the clay online. Yes. So Nature's Garden is one of my favorite places. I also like Bulk Apothecary. I think I got this from Nature's Garden though. I'm saying this, but I'm holding the oils. So in here I also use essential oils. Rosehip and frankincense are my favorites. They go into almost every body care product I use because they've got all sorts of skin healing properties. They're supposed to be good for psoriasis, eczema, acne, reducing pores, let's see, there's a whole long list of it. I didn't memorize it. I just know that when I researched it, I was like, this is good and I want it. So I'm going to blend this. And then at this point I am going to add, I'm using rose fragrance oil. I think I got this off of Amazon. And I'll put a link to our Amazon store too. So again, I tend to under fragrance, and so I'm really having to work on myself on making sure that I put enough that it stays in it. So I'm going to go ahead and do 2 liquid ounces. I'm going to blend this, and I want to make mine pretty, so I'm going to do a second color, and I use micas. On occasion, my preference is to do natural colorants. I like things like dried parsley leaf, paprika, turmeric, but this one, because I was going for pink since it's rose, I'm going to do this mica. And so I go ahead and put that in a separate container. I'm going to make sure that I mix this in so that my fragrance is blended into the base, and then I'll add some into this container to make the color. If you're going to do multiple colors, you can use your same blender, but what you should do is go from your lightest color to your darkest color. And that way you don't get some weird blending of colors. So let's see, how am I going to do this? So I'm going to set that on my plate for just a second. So I am pouring, I don't think you guys can see this. So I poured soap into this container, and I'm going to use my spoon to do a real quick blend, and then I'll put the blender in to make sure it's fully incorporated. But this way I can get any chunks that are sitting on the bottom. Okay. And then blender right into this mixing cup. Beautiful. That's a pretty pink. Okay. So I've got my mold pre-lined. That's what I do. First step is line my mold. I know plastic wrap isn't necessarily recommended. If I leave my soap in this too long, it can actually be kind of a nightmare to remove it. But I found with my goat milk soaps being primarily olive oil that I have about a day or two. So my process is I make the soap and then I go pop it in the freezer, and I let it sit in the freezer for about a day. So somewhere 12 to 24 hours. I'll remove it from the freezer, let it sit there for about another 12 to 24 hours, and then take it out of the mold, and I remove this plastic wrap immediately at that point. And then I let it sit for another day or two because it's a really soft soap that I'm making. So I let it sit for a day or two before I cut it. If you're doing other oils, like if you're doing a lard-based or 100% coconut oil, they tend to be a much harder soap. So I would recommend a different type of liner for if you're doing big loaves like this. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to pour right into my mold. I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm going to move this here in just a second, so hopefully you can see it a little better. Okay. And hopefully I don't drop it on the floor. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I take it and I pour it from pretty high. And so the higher I can get it, the deeper it's going to penetrate in here. And I don't have any real method to my madness. I just pour. So I'm going to save some of it here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse this off real quick. I'll be right back. I should probably have 2 of these, but that's an expense I don't need. So my mold, I don't know if you saw it, my husband made it out of pallet wood. We love pallets. So now I'm going to take this and just do a quick back and forth. And that will mix it up on the inside. And then I like to take what's left and just do a quick pattern across the top. And this one I pour right on the surface. I don't want it to penetrate deeply because I want it to stay right there on the surface. Okay. And then just make some quick designs. The thicker your soap solution is at this point, then you can do those little fancy lumps and dips and stuff, kind of like this. So if my soap solution is a little liquidy at this point, what I'll do is I'll pop it into the freezer and give it a couple minutes, and then I'll come back with a spoon and make the little swirls on top so that it looks fancy. So that's really it, guys. So this is soap. So, and don't be intimidated by it. You can do it too. You don't necessarily have to have goat milk. You could use any liquid. So water would be most common. Beer and wine is something that I would like to work with at some point, just because that sounds fun. So, okay, now here, if you've stuck with me this long, and I appreciate it if you have, here is my question for my next show. So Tuesday, I'd like to do something out in the yard. And so what I'm kind of hoping is that I can do one outside homesteading video a week, and then one inside making bread, doing soap, whatever it is. So Tuesday, I'd really like to be outside, and I have two options for you. So I can do starting my fall garden and show you guys how I start seeds. And my other option is making soil on the homestead. So if you guys could tell me what you want to see, either starting seeds or making soil, I would love to hear what you want to see. So we've pretty much made all of our soil here on the homestead. I am clay and rock. So we went with raised garden beds, and so starting fall garden. Okay, so I'm going to see what other people say, and between now and Tuesday I will come up with something. So yeah, we've made all our own soil here, and it was really easy to do. That's something, if you have a homestead, you've got the stuff on hand, the ingredients to make soil. So let me know what you would like to see on Tuesday, and that is what we'll do. So I'm going to drop you guys off because I got to run and take the soap out to the freezer. I really appreciate you joining me, and thank you for supporting the channel. If you would like, share, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it, just because the more we can get it out there in front of people, the more encouraged I personally would be for investing my time and energy into sharing. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.